Hey, welcome back everybody. Jeff Frick here, coming to you from the Egen Lounge, House of Blues, Mandalay Bay, Google Cloud Next. About 25,000 people here talking about agentic AI. And we're excited to be here in the Egen Lounge talking to some of the Egen folks, also some of the Google folks about what's really happening. And what a great way to start the show. We've got Cameron Groves. He is the director of Rapid Innovation and Specialist Engineering, or RISE for short. Cameron,
Yes.
Great to see you.
Likewise, thank you so much, Jeff, for having me. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
So it used to be called RIT, doing my homework. Now you've gone to RISE, so explain a little bit about what is RISE all about.
Yeah, what RISE is all about is, so originally the Rapid Innovation Team, RIT, was founded under the notion of bringing the Google culture of innovation to our customer to be able to solve the most challenging problems. And back at the early part of this year, we started to layer in our broader specialist organizations, security, workspace, Infomod, AppMod, and so on and so forth, to be able to all come together, have a unified view, and might be the deepest technical organization that Google Public Sector has to offer to our customers and partners.
So I know Google's innovative. You guys have been innovative for decades. Some of the customers, especially on the public sector, aren't necessarily known for innovation, and as we know, usually it's a people challenge more than it is a technology challenge. So what are some of the RISE things in terms of adoption and process to help people be more innovative or more Google-like?
Well, I think customers look at Google and expect something different. And I think that with the notion of Google's culture of innovation, they come to look at us to do that for them, honestly. And when I got to Google Public Sector about 3 to 4 years ago, I saw that we weren't necessarily developing those kind of innovative cutting solutions. We had them certainly on the product side, but how can we make them customized and tailored to the public sector space? So that's where the idea came from RIT. So when we started to socialize the idea with customers and the sort, it really is built upon this premise of like, if you're not doing some things that are crazy, you're doing the wrong things. And so that captures customers' attention to now realize they can go beyond the scope of really their guardrails.
Right.
And so as a result of that, some of the things that we're doing is such as like at MTA or New York City Transit, which I have a talk later on this afternoon at the booth, where we actually put Pixel phones, attach them to the train to be able to capture information from the trains themselves to be able to detect anomalies within the system.
Right.
Crazy idea, taking commodity hardware, putting on trains, who would have thought? Or we have customers who are asking us to be able to ultimately rebuild an application that Google offers because in the highly classified space. We do that as well.
Right. So you've got an interesting concept, leading from the middle.
Yes.
And also delivering results.
My team is tired of that, actually.
That's what?
My team gets tired of me saying
That's
that.
okay, they're not here, but everyone else hasn't heard it yet. But also delivering value before the project gets started and really thinking about the classic government procurement process in a very different way in terms of these technologies. I wonder if you could share a little bit more of that.
Absolutely. So first of all, to address the leading from the middle piece, it's playing a leader, being an entrepreneur. That's like in terms of the skill set that we look in individuals for our team. Natural curiosity, not saying no, taking the hill together. But in terms of going back to the procurement piece of it, it's under the premise of market research and partnering with our customers. We ultimately can give them the code or work closely with our partners, such as Egen, like I know we've been working together, assuming in other places, but it's about under the premise of market research and exploring together what could be possible.
Are there budgets for market research at some place like CUNY? That doesn't necessarily seem like that's going to.
Well, it's not something we don't get paid for this. To be clear,
right.
like it's all.
You mean on your side?
Yes, on our side.
Okay,
yeah, this is an investment of our time and
Okay.
energy with our customers. So.
And how receptive are these big public institutions to this different way of doing business? It's got to be hard for the bureaucrats. You push in RFPs and that whole process.
Certainly we have hiccups along the way in terms of this notion, but when we explain to them that we're working and co-creating together, it's where then things start to realize the guard there's no strings attached.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if we deliver something, and let's say they don't adopt it, but what has happened is ultimately allowed us to be able to drive repeatability. Because likely within the public sector space, someone else has a similar mission problem and to be addressed, and we can take it to others. And that's one of the beauties of working in public sector is the ability to share and do commonalities and do using technology for good.
Right. So we're here at the Egen Lounge. How does the three legs of the stool come together between kind of the core Google technology, the partner, Egen, and the customer? How do those pieces gel?
Thank you, that's a great question, because I'm a huge believer in you have to build together, not just with our customer, but with our partners as well. And that's where we created about 2 years ago this notion of a RIT co-build funding mechanism, where we will bring a partner in to co-build with us with a customer. It gives you, as a partner, an opportunity to be able to co-build and kind of come along on the journey with us, and allows you also to take that to other customers as well. So we then are very upfront with our customers when we co-build with our customers that a partner is building with us, and it as a result allows them to be comfortable with the customer and partner together in terms of that. It allows us also a handoff, because we don't scale. We're a small but mighty team, but we don't scale. We have to have our partners there hand in glove with us.
And then how are you seeing the scaling from it? I don't want to call it POC, because I know you probably don't want to call it a POC, but when you get an initial success, even the MTA, I think it's like six trains or one train line and 6 phones, not a huge thing. How does the scale piece really start to work within the client? Because that's not an easy thing to do for anybody.
Certainly, so what that does is it allows them to say, hey, this does work, and then go through the procurement process. So we've informed and influenced, I would say, the procurement potential to do a pilot. So go from proof of concept, prototype, production pilot, and we incrementally grow the opportunity that way in terms of working with the customer.
How do you find, I'm just curious, public sector, you've been working there a long time, how does it move the money and change kind of the back end when suddenly we had this small kind of fun little project, didn't have a big budget, and now we've scaled it? Oh my gosh, how does that really happen on the back end, on the customer side, to say, hey, this is great, we need to ship some money around, or what happens?
That's where we have to make sure, as part of our engagement model, we are making good decisions in terms of working with our customers. And that's where we need to make sure that they're upfront with them, that here is our process. We will work with you, co-create with you, but our hope and intention of everything that we build can go to production.
Right.
So we hope we change the hearts and the minds and create a customer for life. And as a result of that, then we have the presidents of the universities, the presidents of the MTAs say, like, okay, now we can ultimately work closely with Google. It could turn into a competitive scenario, certainly. We're well aware of that.
Right.
But our intention is that because we will wow the customer, they will then be blown away by our differentiation with our motion, with the Rapid Innovation team and our broader specialist engineering team as well.
All right. So agentic AI, all the talk. We just finished the keynote. It's all we hear about, right?
Yes.
And I think it's funny because there's still a lot of people that have still never tried ChatGPT for the first time, just to pick the one that everybody knows. And then we've gone to the bots, and everyone built lots of bots, and now this idea of agentic and letting it do things and take control.
Autonomy.
We've all know about hallucinations, which is Gen AI going off the rails a little bit in text. A little bit with Google Robotics and Gemini Robotics, and their whole thing is a hallucination manifests itself as less performance against a task.
Yeah.
What's kind of the manifestation? How do you get away from that? I'm sure there's some concerns and some senior people that have had ChatGPT say something wrong to them, say, hey, Cameron, are you sure that we want to give this thing agency to do things?
Yeah, so I think there's a general fear about AI. I sit on panels with government individuals, and there is genuine fear because they don't necessarily use it in their day-to-day lives. And they may use ChatGPT, or dare I say Gemini? Google conference.
I love Gemini too.
So all kidding aside, like they're genuinely fearful of it because they don't understand it.
Right.
And then you start to realize that an agent can be built and be run away and do autonomous behavior, could generate even more fear as it relates to it. And so, coming from the standpoint of working with our customers with agentic development and agent development, you got to have observability. That's where the introduction to Wiz comes into the picture as well, where they have various different agents that can then do red team, blue team, green team, and that was sort of part of the announcements here this week, to be able to help protect our customers in the agentic world that we're all embarking upon together.
Right.
So that's where security, observability has to be built into the architecture up front, no different than when you build an application from the ground up, or some of these other SaaS providers that certainly are a mainstay in the market.
Right. Obviously, another big thing is security. People are always about security, whether it's access to data or governance issues or some other thing. And then the other part that comes up is data readiness, if you will. How data ready in terms of their infrastructure, their architectures, the available data to make some of these POCs successful.
Or silos of data. That is a huge thing that certainly encounter. So I've gotten that question quite a bit recently as well. And that's where you could use AI to create metadata tags of the data that you know about, and that as a result can leave the data where it sits and be able to inquire against that data and do connections into it using MCP servers to connect into maybe other data sources, other models, whatever the case might be. you metadata tag that data using AI allows you to be able to do that. But then silo the data is where things got to be connection, and that's where Gemini Enterprise plays a huge role in our vision about the AI front door here in any enterprise proper.
Right. Let's talk about Gemini for a minute, because people are familiar with Gemini as a consumer, right? It's now in our search, it's in our email, it's in a lot of places. Like I said, I've played a little bit with Gemini Robotics, doing some work with what Google's done there, which is pretty fascinating as a foundation model, almost like a world model. And now there's Gemini for enterprise and there's Gemini for government. From your point of view, having that big giant foundational model behind you, that's got to be a terrific resource to know that you've got to bring to bear.
Gemini is you have the full stack, like they talked about at the keynote. That is a differentiation. And you have all the research that underpins it all with Google DeepMind and Google Research. But Gemini in its essence is where everything is rolling up into as it relates to, whether it be translation services, whether it be healthcare, whatever. That unified model allows us to really have a differentiation. There's Gemini app that's in Workspace, so certainly for the Workspace community, but then also on the enterprise side, where you need the connections into the data that you have. That Gemini, that brain, allows you to ultimately have a huge differentiation how you're going to be adopting your AI strategy, your agentic strategy within your organization.
Yeah, it's just really amazing how fast it's evolved. Where before, right, there was no memory, there was no retention. It was so hard to put in your own data.
Now,
you
members,
had to try to learn RAG and all this other stuff. Now,
members, everything. It has context.
Right.
And that's what's so amazing about it. I was just the other day, I was building a strategy for deployed engineering vision that I have with our team and evolution of our IT, and it remembered some things that I had put in there a couple weeks ago. And so it creates that context and is learning about what you've put in there with your data, and your data is your data. It's tremendously powerful how now I'm able to now become even more productive than having to reference something that maybe I frankly forgot.
Right. But Cameron, you've been in public sector forever, and I think your quote is you pick public sector because it's high stakes. And it's big problems and it has huge impact versus somebody making a couple more nickels at the end of the day on a quarterly report. How did you decide to go this direction? Was there an event or something, or you just like hard problems? Or public sector is a really interesting place to play because it's not profit motivated, it's got a lot of different incentives, so it's a really different way to go to market.
Yeah, I've been in like the nonprofit space very early on in my career, and then throughout the course of my getting into public sector proper through consulting. It comes down to who I am as a human being. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with Simon Sinek. And the whole start with why. And
right.
My personal why is to do good and be good so that others can be at their best. And that is ultimately what has grounded me, and is what has grounded me to be a leader within the organization that I lead and have the privilege to lead. And then that carries through to ultimately serve others. As you can tell in that why statement, is the reason what motivates me day in and day out to serve for the greater good.
Right.
Because I was actually, I'll tell a story here if I can.
Of course.
When I was 2009 or whatever it was, I was consulting for the Census Bureau, reimagining how they do the census. I went back there with Google to do a presentation. I ran into the CTO, and he was telling me, he says, "Cameron, remember that project you worked on all those years ago? It became a reality like 5 years ago." I mean, the timing is a little slow, but the fact that you know that you have that mark and be able to leave stuff behind and drive repeatability and have mission and change for good, use technology for good, that's what the reason.
That's awesome. And I'm just curious too, from some of the customer engagements you have, all the time when we work with these tools, at least I do, we have this, oh my God, you got to go tell somebody, look what it just did, look what it just did. As the people at, say, SUNY, for instance, start to get into the project enough to start to really see in their own mind the possibilities, share some of that with us in terms of when people really start to figure out what this kind of unlock can do for them.
There's like two moments I would say in the last 2 years, and this is probably more of a personal thing than necessarily within RIT. One, we were sitting in Colorado 2 years ago, and someone said on the team that they wrote an application on their phone, flying to Hawaii with his wife for a vacation, and he showed the application. I knew right then and there that the world was changing. Fast forward a couple months later, we were working on a project for adjudicating unemployment insurance claims. And I saw Gemini creating questions on the fly to be able to help an employee or claimant ask like what's wrong, employer validating, all within a matter of 5 minutes or less, and then basically summarize all that. That was the wow moment that for me, both of those, that ultimately knew that this world is now going to change forever on what could be done. I always get asked, like, what we could be doing differently in the public sector space, government or otherwise. move faster. And I know that's hard sometimes, but they need to be moving faster because the reality is on the broader level, adversaries, education, the landscape is changing with AI, as we all know. It's unbelievable what's unfolding here. It really is.
We just can't Gronk exponential curves. That's like my personal pet peeve, trying to help people understand exponential curves and say we actually live in the future, you just don't know it because you don't have the back. It's hard to look forward, but if you look back, you have 6,000 crays running in your pocket on a battery.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right? In terms of what's unfolding here. And these models are as bad as they are going to be ever for today. Moving forward, they're only going to get smarter and smarter, which is really exciting.
Well, Cameron, I love the direction, I love the mission, I love the attitude, solving hard problems, starting from the middle. Would you say? If it's not crazy, you're doing the wrong things.
That's it at the end of the day.
Perfect.
And that usually deguards folks too, in terms of realizing this is Google. We're doing something different, whimsical, and all those things. So,
and I keep coming back. It's almost like the limits are almost in your ability to think of what to ask it to do next. I mean, we were just setting up, and the photographer guy said, "Hey, did you ask Gemini to check your lighting setup and see if you should change something?" I didn't think of that.
I do all sorts of random stuff with my car or whatever. All the time. Yeah. It just becomes a daily part of my life now.
Right. All right, Cameron. Well, thanks a lot, and best of luck. It's to the benefit of us all.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
All righty. He's Cameron. I'm Jeff from the Egen Lounge at Google Cloud Next in Mandalay Bay. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.